Coming up in today's Locked On Angels, we're wondering, what would it take for the Angels to make the World Series in 2022? We're going to talk about it all, break it all down, roster construction from top to bottom. That's all coming up right now on Locked On Angels.
You are Locked On Angels, your daily Los Angeles Angels podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Locked On Angels, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And thank you for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day every single day. I'm Steve Granado, your host. You can shoot me a follow on Twitter at Steve Granado, Granado. And of course, our Locked On account is at Locked On Angels. This episode is brought to you by Spotify Green Room. Download the Spotify Green Room app and find one of our Locked On rooms. Before we get started here, as the World Series is officially underway, I wanted to remind you that I have some merch available right now on Redbubble. It's linked in the show notes in the episode description right here on YouTube. Of course, that is 27 merch. Plenty of good stuff over there. Multiple designs. And our brand new Shohei Ohtani MLB logo is available for purchase now. So if you're interested in Shohei stuff, we now have our first ever Shohei design. It is available right now. Again, link in the show notes. Okay, I wanted to also address this, some programming notes here for you Locked On fans listening every day. Again, thanks for making your first listen to us. Next week, we have some exciting stuff coming next week. We are kicking off some real off-season stuff officially. We're going to be talking minor league week. We are going to be chatting with every single minor league broadcaster in the Angels system. Steve Wendt of Inland Empire, Chris King of Tri-City, Josh Carey of Rocket City, and Steve Klauke of Salt Lake. So we have every single broadcaster coming on the show. Super, super excited. We'll have an interview almost every day next week, Monday through Thursday, and then of course we'll wrap it up on Friday with our Friday show. But that again starts on Monday. We're going from low A to triple A and talking about everything Angels system, the entire franchise. That's going to be very, very exciting. Can't wait for that. That is again going to start on Monday. And also, just if you're listening to this when the day this comes out, today is the anniversary of the Angels' only World Series win back in 2002. Today is the 19-year anniversary, October 27th, 2002, and the Angels took down the San Francisco Giants after the wild and wacky Game 6. If you missed it yesterday, we had an entire conversation. We had a whole oral history on Game 6, the greatest game in Angels history. I will also leave a link to that for our YouTube channel here in the episode description, but that was a whole lot of fun to go back and re-listen to the original Rory Marcus and Terry Smith call on AM 570. So if you missed that episode dissecting Game 6 of 2002, you should definitely go check that out. It is available in the episode description. Okay, so let's go ahead and get what you're here for. We're in honor of the World Series officially being underway between the Braves and the Astros. It got us thinking, what would it take for the Angels to actually have a shot at playing in a World Series this year? So we're going to go roster construction, what's going on now, what would need to be added, and how things would need to shake out in 2022 for that to become a reality. And one thing I wanted to note here, the Angels finished 2021 77-85 without Upton, without Trout, and without Rendon. So that's a pretty big deal right there. So don't forget that the Angels were missing those guys in 2021. So off the bat, let's remember the Angels only finished 8 games under 500. Look at the Braves. Didn't even scratch 90 wins in the regular season. They're able to get there. I get that it was a different division, and the AL East is much different than the NL East is much different than the AL West. So there is still the Astros to compete with. There is still Seattle to compete with, and Oakland always puts up a decent team. So the competition is different in the AL West, but that doesn't mean it changes too much. The Angels still could get, obviously, a multitude of ways to get into the World Series. So let's start on that note. Okay. We are talking about pitching all the time here, right? And yes, the Angels would need to get a frontline starter. No ifs, ands, or buts. With the guys that are set to return, this is without getting Alex Cobb and not getting Dylan Bundy, assuming that they go to free agency and the Angels cannot get them. The Angels would have to go out and get somebody. Yes, if not 2, if not 3. I would be most comfortable with getting 3. 2, I'd feel a little bit better, but for depth purposes, 3 would probably make me feel the most secure about the Angels' pitching staff moving forward. So we're going to go into this once the offseason officially starts, but since the World Series is underway, I thought this, again, would be a good conversation to have. There's some big free agents here on the pitching market, and the Angels would probably have to get a couple of these. So some of the names that jumped out at me right away, Marcus Stroman obviously is going to be a free agent, and I know he's going to be well sought after, and I know San Diego is already looking at him. I got to imagine the Mets are thinking of bringing him back. So it would be a little tougher to get Marcus Stroman, but that would be one of my top priorities moving forward. Kevin Gausman obviously had a pretty darn good year here in 2021, so another guy you're looking at. You could potentially sway a UC Kikuchi, who will be a free agent, the Seattle Mariner. That would be a guy that I'd be comfortable with as a number 2 or a number 3. Not your number 1, but as a number 2, number 3. That could be a big get. And then, of course, the biggest get on the market that isn't Max Scherzer, who is obviously number 1 on everybody's list right now. Clayton Kershaw as well is available as well. But Noah Syndergaard is going to be a free agent. Yes, he is extremely injury prone right now, but you can't forget the stuff that he has and what he could mean to an organization. I think the Angels could make a legitimate run and try to get Noah Syndergaard. That would be some of the top guys that, first glance, not diving too deep into numbers, that would kind of jump off the page for me, that I would go, you know what, yes, these are some guys that I think could really help out the staff, round out the starting rotation. But the one thing to really think about here as far as pitching construction of your roster here in 2022, the Angels have a lot of young relief options. I mean, a lot of them. And more are coming, which is kind of crazy. So the Angels will have more next year than they did in 2021. So if you're looking for depth, this is weirdly probably the deepest part of the Angels system here is young relief. The Angels have a ton of young relief options. So out of the pen, this is where their strength is probably going to be in 2022. Guys that are coming out of the pen, ready to toss an inning or two. And this is what got me thinking, when you're looking at teams that were in the postseason in 2021, what has stuck out the most? Relief pitching, right? Relief pitching has been so massive this postseason. And I think that moving forward, this might be a strength for teams to look at. And this is what gives me the most hope for the Angels here, is right here. Young relief options, both from the right and the left-handed sides. Obviously, we know that Chris Rodriguez might miss part of the start of the season and probably is going to miss spring training. But Chris Rodriguez, you got Jose Quijada, Junior Guerra, and even Packy Naughton could potentially be a relief option if the Angels get some strong frontline starting. It's all happening right here. The pitching side, as we know, is one of the most important things that was ultimately the downfall of the Dodgers this year, was injuries and pitching, most notably the injuries to the pitching. And you look at the Braves, you look at the Astros. The Astros really haven't had as strong a pitching this year as they have in the past, but pitching is still a strength over on that side. It's a strength in the bullpen relief young side for the Angels. So that's what gives me the most hope moving forward for 2022. That is something to consider. Again, if you add a 1, 2, or 3 to work alongside some of the guys that you have, your Patrick Sandovals of the world, again, maybe Packy Naughton, your Griffin Cannings if he's available. He could also work out of the pen if need be, if he gets restructured in that way. But you work alongside Shohei and you figure out 2 guys at the top here, maybe 3 guys at the top. I mean, you're talking just right there, a World Series contender, legitimately. Like, I know it might sound like I'm being a homer right now, but I'm not. When you legitimately look at the roster construction right now, if you add a couple frontline starters, it's a legit team. And again, with how baseball is kind of shifting right now to the strength of the bullpen, aside from the starters, yes, good starting is always going to get you deep. But if you look at the strength of the bullpen moving forward, the potential of the strength in 2022, that is weirdly the Angels' strongest suit. So for everyone who's been crying for years, pitching, it might pay off in 2022. Obviously, a lot of things have to go right. But, I mean, if you're going to make it to a World Series, it has to go right anyway. So you might be a little safer moving forward for Angels fans right now. 2022 can be a year, legitimately, because of the roster construction and because of some of the double and AAA arms right now. The Angels have a legitimate chance, I think, if they add a couple frontline starters, to really compete in 2022. Coming up next, we're going to talk about roster construction on the defensive side of things. But before we do that, this episode is brought to you by Green Room. Green Room is the first social audio platform made for sports fans. The app is free to download, and once you're in, you can talk with fans, athletes, and insiders in real time about your favorite team or sport. Green Room is the perfect place to start or join conversations about Major League Baseball. You'll find fans just like you on Green Room for watch parties, debates, post-game breakdowns, and of course, reacting to big news or rumors. You can even find Locked On hosts across the NBA and NHL. So if you're looking for some Ducks, Lakers, Clippers content, you can find some. I'll be joining the app soon, so make sure to get started over there, and I'll meet you over there, and I'll let you know when we are available. Go download the free Green Room app right now. Currently available on all iOS devices. Be sure to create a profile, link your Twitter, and join the MLB group. I know you'll find a ton of incredible rooms, and again, I will make sure to let you know as soon as Locked On Angels is available over on Green Room. Download the Green Room app today. Green Room, changing the way we talk sports. All right, back here on Locked On Angels, we're asking the question, what would it take for the Angels to make the World Series in 2022? This is the one thing that has struck me, and these are the roster moves that need to be made in order for a team to succeed at every single year. Utility guys. The Angels haven't had true utility guys since your Meister's Turris of your world, your Sean Figgins of the world. The Angels just need those guys. Those guys need to be a part of your team. You look at rosters throughout Major League Baseball, and the teams that contend have guys that can fill in that are Major League caliber and can fill in when someone goes down. That's what Meister's Turris was. That's what Sean Figgins was. Guys that can jump around. And when I look at this roster right now, a guy that can do that, maybe two, is Jack Mayfield and Phil Gosselin. Younger guys that are looking to fill in some spots. They had to fill bigger roles because of injuries this year. So if you're looking about utility options that are in-house already, Jack Mayfield and Phil Gosselin, if they slide into that role and aren't the everyday third, left, and right guys, then this is legit. You can count on a Jack Mayfield in these situations to kind of fill in that spot. Again, not at a larger role, but at a spot right now. Because remember, injuries are not unique to the Angels. The Angels ran into injuries this year. Dodgers ran into injuries. Look at the Braves right now. They're all banged up, and they're missing some of their best players. So it's not unique. You're going to go through injuries next year. But you need the utility guys to fill in for those spots and be average, if not above average. You think you Chris Taylors of the world right now, right? Think how good he was for the Dodgers and how good he has been for the Dodgers. He is a free agent moving forward, by the way. We'll see if the Dodgers make an attempt to sign him once the World Series comes to a close. But the one thing here, again, we'll talk about health here a little bit. But, you keep Anthony Rendon healthy. He is a legitimate thump in the lineup. I know we haven't been able to see it yet because of the shortened season and injuries, but it's a legitimate thump in the lineup if he is comfortable and can play 145 to 160 games. Then it's legit. So you have your utility guys to back up Rendon at third. Let's go to the outfield a little bit here. What do you do with Justin Upton? Can Justin Upton be a reliable everyday left fielder? I don't know. I don't. Nothing has shown us that is going to be the case moving forward. I'm going to root for Justin Upton. I have no ill will towards the guy. He's been, tough luck with injuries and stuff over the last few years. So hopefully he can stay healthy. But I think, moving forward, this will be his last year on this contract right now. Do you trust Jo Adell and Brandon Marsh right now to take up those duties, to fill that left field and right field role? It's a bit of a question mark still. Yes, we saw some good flashes of them, but is Jo Adell's bat ready? Is it ready for a full season in 2022? How is his spring training going to work? How is his offseason going to look? Is he going to shift to left full-time? Is he going to shift to right full-time? So Adell and Marsh are in the very similar camp right now of guys that are like teetering on ready. Right? We saw them in September. We saw them in the latter part of the season. Are these guys ready? And I think a lot of that's going to have to do with how this offseason goes for them workout regimen wise and, staying healthy throughout spring and having a good spring training and proving. They still have to prove, I think. Adell and Marsh still have to prove that they are ready to make an opening day roster in 2022. So, excuse me. moving forward, do you try and go out and try and steal a Chris Taylor type? Do you try and go out and steal a veteran like the Angels tried to do this year when they went out and got Adam Eaton or Dexter Fowler? Do you try and steal a veteran like a Charlie Blackmon or a Starling Marte? Or do you even potentially reunite with Cole Calhoun, who is a free agent right now? Do you kind of grab these guys to act like your Bobby Abreu's way back when, your Torrey Hunters of the world, guys to kind of usher in these younger players, these guys with lots of promise to be able to fill that everyday role? Do the Angels need that now that they don't have their Albert Pujolses or they don't have their Kurt Suzuki's? You know, those kinds of guys are crucial, and the Angels right now have a decent mix of young and older and veteran. But I wouldn't be shocked if the Angels made a move to try and get, again, like a Charlie Blackmon or a Starling Marte or a Cole Calhoun, Chris Taylor, these guys that are coming off the books elsewhere. Angels try to swoop in, use as utility guys, or use as, first couple of months be the left fielder, first couple of months be the right fielder, and then start taking a backseat pinch hitting roles and things like that. So I wouldn't be shocked if the Angels went out and made a signing that guys, fans might be like, oh, what are they signing Charlie Blackmon for? Well, they might be getting a guy. I'm not saying go get him, but I'm saying guys like that are going to be free agents that can really help move Adell and Marsh forward. I think it's would be ill-advised of me to say that the Angels do not need a shortstop. I think they knew. I think they do. They just need a shortstop. You got your Kyron Paris, Jeremiah Jackson, and Errol Vera, but they are not close. They are not close to the majors. They cannot make an opening day roster in 2022. That is just not going to happen. Guys that spent the season at low A are probably going to play Double A at best next year. They are just not ready to play a Major League Baseball, and that's okay. The Angels have to wait a little bit. The closest thing right now is Livian Soto. And he's a Double A guy right now. Is he going to be ready in 2022? Probably not. So your shortstop hole is definitely here. Do you trust Luis Rengifo to be your everyday? I don't know if he can be your everyday. I think that Luis Rengifo, when at his best here, would be a great side piece to fill in the middle infield. Again, akin to a Mysaris Turris in the past, might be a guy like that. Luis Rengifo is still young. I think we forget how young he still is. But even if you move David Fletcher to short full time, which I know has been discussed here moving forward, now you have a hole at second. So something has to be done about the middle infield here in free agency. There's a good free agent market right now. And again, I'd imagine the Angels might make a move here. If they make a move for a middle infielder moving forward for the next couple of years, to allow your Paris's, Jacksons, and Veras and Sotos of the world to really rise up and grow up in the minors, then you're talking here. I think the Angels will make a legitimate move towards a middle infielder, a shortstop, or a second baseman, depending on how it shakes out with David Fletcher. Again, we got a down year of David Fletcher here, but there's no pause, I think, in the organization to think that he can't return to 2019 standards. So I think David Fletcher moving forward is still going to be part of your middle infield. I don't think there's a question there. But you need a middle infielder. And Luis Rengifo, I just don't know if that's part of a championship caliber club, unfortunately. Again, I'm never rooting against these guys. I'll root for Luis Rengifo, but moving forward, I think he would probably serve better in a pinch hitting or a late game substitution, that type of thing. Moving forward, the Angels need that depth. They need that depth. So losing Luis Rengifo isn't really a smart idea, but keeping him in a different type of role to help usher him along and be a piece to that infield, I think that is a smart move. And as far as behind the plate, the Angels probably don't need to go out and get a catcher. If they believe in Max Stassi, which it looks like they do, he's your everyday. If the Angels are confident in Matt Thaiss, he moved him back to catcher here this season and spent a lot of time in the minors working on his catching once more. If the Angels are confident enough in Stassi and Thaiss to at least be league average, then there's really no need for the Angels to go out and get another catcher like they did last offseason. Could they still do so? Maybe might still do that, but I think right now, the catching situation is fairly under control. And again, without an injury or something that really throws them off here in this offseason, I wouldn't be surprised if they got another piece, but I also wouldn't be surprised if they didn't go out and get a catcher. So that's what I feel about the Angels defensively here, potentially moving into a 2022 World Series. Coming up next, we're going to talk lineup construction and how it could possibly shake out to give the Angels a real chance. But before we do that, this episode is brought to you by Built Bar, and they have a ton of delicious flavors. There's something for everyone. Here are some of the delicious flavors that the Built Bar protein company has to offer: coconut, cherry, raspberry, mint, brownie, double chocolate, orange, cookies and creams, German chocolate, salted caramel, double chocolate. I mean, there's so many. I would really implore you to go out and get a mix box so you can get 2 of each of the 9 flavors and try them out and see which ones become your favorite. Not only are Built Bar flavors the best tasting, they're super healthy. 17 to 18 grams of protein, calories from only 130 to 180, only 4 or 5 grams of sugar, and your carbs down at 4 to 5 grams. So great numbers on your Built Bar bars. They're all amazing. They all taste great, and they're all healthy. Built Bar is the official protein bar of the U.S. track and field team, so you know you can trust it. Go to Built.com and use promo code LOCKED15, that's LOCKED15, and you'll get 15% off your order at Built.com. This episode is also brought to you by BetOnline. We're back and better than ever. A new web interface for the start of basketball season and more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline remains your number one spot for all the basketball and football action this season. Head to our new updated desktop or our mobile website to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use promo code LOCKEDON to receive your bonus. From basketball, football, postseason baseball, NHL boxing, and UFC, all the way to your favorite Vegas casino games, don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available in 2021. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports. That's BetOnline, where the game starts. Okay, back here on Locked On Angels, we're chatting what it would take for the Angels to make the World Series in 2022. So we've gone through the pitching, we have gone through the defensive alignments. Now let's talk offense. And this, again, like the young relief bullpen options the Angels have, is part of their strong suit. Again, the Angels only a couple of games under 5, and with all the injuries, I mean, that's pretty darn good. They just need to work on that depth, right? That depth. And as far as lineup construction moving forward, I'll break down where my lineup would look like for 2022. What we know now. But overall, the bats just need to stay healthy. I think it's pretty darn obvious that health is just going to be really important for the Angels in 2022. Position-wise, depth-wise, at the higher ends of minor league ball, not necessarily going to be there to be able to fill those spots and really come in. The Angels don't have a Wander Franco, that can come up and go, he's ready, let's go, and let's add a massive bat to the lineup. The Angels don't have that right now. So they need health at the major league level. And they need health to protect Shohei. Remember, the Angels will get Trout and will get Rendon back. So that is going to be huge. We, again, have not really seen Rendon to his fullest extent here for the Angels. So that is just what needs to happen. The Angels are going to get healthier, and this is what is going to be key moving forward, especially Trout and Rendon with this lack of depth right now. Again, the Angels weirdly have depth out of the bullpen here moving forward into 2022. A lot of young, so there's some question marks there on how they'll perform at the major league level. But here we go. Let's go ahead and take a look at what potentially could be a starting lineup for 2022. Again, this has a bunch of question marks with health and has some question marks as far as moving forward with trades or anything like that, and if the Angels sign some free agents. So right now, this is what I would anticipate the 2022 opening lineup to look like, or at least if I were Joe Madden right now, this is probably what I'd go with. Leading off, you'd probably have Fletch at second base. Batting second, Rendon would be at third. Trout, I would have batting third in center field. Shohei, DHing, pitching, whatever is going on, batting cleanup. Then batting fifth, I'd have Jared Walsh over at first base, and I think this is probably where the question marks will start, right? The first 5 through the order, should everyone be healthy and ready to go, this seems to be where to go. So Fletcher, Rendon, Trout, Ohtani, Walsh. The top 5 seem to be pretty set in stone. Everything else seems to be a bit of a crapshoot. Batting sixth, you have either, this can go in many ways, but I'd probably have Brandon Marsh or Justin Upton in this situation batting sixth. We know that Upton can shift around a little bit in the lineup. At least Joe is trying to get him when he was healthy to try and figure it out, shifting him in the lineup. But right here, this sixth spot seems to be maybe a Brandon Marsh or a Justin Upton or whatever the utility guy is. Batting seventh is likely to be your catcher, 7 or 8. This is kind of interchangeable depending on how things are going. So you got your Max Stassi's, your Matt Thaiss, or whatever catcher the Angels end up going with. If they do end up getting a free agent catcher or a trade catcher, this would be where that would be. Or again, in the 8th spot, Luis Rengifo or a shortstop here. So 6, 7, 8 are kind of shifting in and out. Batting ninth, I have Joe Adell just for the speed to try and kick that order back around. You could always have Adell lead off, Fletcher bat ninth. So there's some leeway here at the tail end and the top end of the lineup here. But if it's not Adell, it's likely to be your right fielder or whatever combination of these last 2 or 3 or 4 spots. That's the question marks right now. Do you believe in Marsh? Do you believe in Stassi full-time? Do you believe in Thaiss being the backup? Do you believe in Rengifo and Adell? That's where the Angels get a little murky in the water, and that's where they have to kind of figure things out in the offseason and figure things out in spring training. Hey, maybe Marsh and Adell come out and they're competing both for a Rookie of the Year in 2022. Who knows? That could 100% be the thing. But both of them, their bats need to be able to stand at major league pitching levels. And right now, that's still a question mark. So again, the Angels, I don't think, are far away. And I know that people have said this in the past, but this roster construction right now moving forward, they are closer to competing for a World Series than they are away, further away from competing for a World Series. So that should be great news moving forward. The AL West, should Carlos Correa not return to the Houston Astros, gets a little easier. Doesn't get way easier, and I'm not saying that the West is wide open, but it gets a little bit easier if he does not return to the Houston Astros. So it's possible. I think the Angels do have a legitimate chance, at least at a deep run in 2022. Do they have a chance at a World Series? That's going to be found out, and that's going to be answered in the offseason. And how healthy they stay throughout the year. Again, teams are not, teams are going to get hurt. That's just how it is. And the Angels are going to get hurt next year. Do they have the depth and do they have the foresight to hopefully get things together and move forward while the window is open with the Trout and Ohtani era? We're going to find all that out in the offseason. I want to get your involvement in this, however. How do you feel about these moves that I have laid out, these ideas that I have laid out? I'm very curious on what you have to say. Shoot us a tweet on Twitter at LockedOnAngels and at Steve Granado. That's Granado. Of course, you can give me a phone call at any time, anywhere, 714-409-6396. Leave a voicemail for me, and you could be featured on this show. How do you feel about these options that I've laid out? We're going to talk about way more once the offseason officially starts, once free agency starts opening up, and we'll start making the case for a lot of free agents here throughout the offseason. So let me know how you feel about these. In the meantime, don't forget to check out my merch line, 27 merch available right now on Redbubble. It's linked in the show notes. Our new Shohei Ohtani MLB logo is available. I think it turned out really, really sick, and you should go check it out. And by the way, I'm at 27merch on Twitter as well if you're looking to follow the merch line so you can stay up to date with all the new designs that were coming out. If you want another podcast, I have an 8-part docuseries called Our Game. It's we asked the question, who is the Latino Jackie Robinson, and found out that the answer got extremely complicated. The podcast is all about examining the Latin contributions to American baseball. It's available everywhere, audio platforms, on everything. Go check it out right now. That's Our Game, OURGAME. And if you want something completely different, you can check out my other podcast where I review movies, older movies, with my best friend Alex. It's called Movies I Should Have Watched. We're watching a bunch of old movies right now and checking them all out. Coming out today, if you're listening to this when this comes out, on Wednesday, The Ring. We watched The Ring as our finale for Halloween month. And yeah, we see if the 19-year-old movie held up here in 2021. So that's very exciting. Go check out Movies I Should Have Watched. Also available on audio podcast platforms everywhere. I want to thank you for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. For your second listen, go listen to Locked On MLB Prospects. And hey, we're talking about prospects all the time here. And why don't you check this one out? Host Aram Layton is a prospect encyclopedia, and he's going deep on the MLB stars of tomorrow, including some Angels guys. It's free and available on all platforms. That's going to do it for us in today's Locked On Angels. Hope you guys are enjoying the World Series thus far. I know that Angels fans are certainly rooting for the Braves, so there's that. Next week, again, we got minor league week coming up Monday through Thursday, so get excited for that. We're going to talk all minor league baseball next week. Of course, we got a couple more episodes this week. We have some good stuff coming here in the next couple of days. So thanks so much for chatting with us. We will talk to you tomorrow. But until then, later.